Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. Thanks for tuning in. If you could hit that like button, hit subscribe, really helps the channel out. Free speech. It's getting kind of expensive. And people are losing their jobs. They are losing their freedom, potential financial freedom, like what happened in Canada, over their opinions, over exercising free speech. And not to be outdone by Trudeau, PayPal, you may have heard, is trying to, what do they call it? The acceptable use policy. And they came out with a policy the other day that said they can fine you up to $2,500 for the spreading of misinformation. What has helped me during these times, these oh so fun times that we're living in, where the world seems upside down and we're living in George Orwell's novel, is defining terms. That there's often two ships passing in the night when it comes to a discussion, whether it be online or through politics, because people in politics with malintention intentionally use nebulous terms to obfuscate the truth. So the World Economic Forum is a good example. You might hear a speech, or some plebe might hear a speech from somebody from the World Economic Forum, and it's like, sounds like a good idea. Sounds like they want to spread prosperity around the world. And I don't like things like misinformation. I don't like crazy Uncle Joe being able to say whatever he wants online. So sure, yeah, maybe a little bit of restrictions. They won't restrict me, but maybe a little restrictions on what people can say online is a good thing. And besides, these are free. This is a free market. These are their own companies, and they can start their own Facebook if they want. And in reality, what they actually want is power and control. And so they don't necessarily care about things like climate change or the economy. They care about power and control. All you got to do is look at their actions. If they cared about climate change, would they fly on a private jet to Davos every year? Probably not. The same thing happens with the word misinformation. That word has been thrown around ad nauseum. This is why I'm a free speech absolutist. There is speech that everyone disagrees with, and that is the test of free speech, obviously, is do you accept people's ability to say things that you disagree with? And me as a person who has been in the military, I raised my right hand and swore an oath to the Constitution. I'm a very huge believer in free speech. And we have these companies like PayPal coming out and doing the dirty work of the government. If you don't think that the government has something to do with this, you'd be, I think, naive. Why do I say that? You had the Ministry of Truth that Biden's administration wanted to come out with, and then right after Elon Musk was going to buy Twitter, they wanted to come out with some kind of policy that all these social media companies come together and agree to. So they work hand in glove with the government to censor speech, and it's a very dangerous road. And I heard something on a podcast that I thought was really interesting the other day. Sometimes when I'm talking to my family or friends who don't really watch politics or something, they think you're being alarmist because you say something and you're like, this is a very dangerous road. This could lead to X, Y, and Z. And they think, like the lockdowns is a good example. They think that you're saying, A, what's happening right now, lockdowns, will lead to Z, which is government having more power and control and being an authoritarian government. And that's not how it works. What we're actually saying is A leads to B, which leads to C, which eventually leads to Z. And the same thing is going on with this free speech thing. Not to be alarmist, but this leads to this, and the dominoes keep falling. It becomes easier and easier. And do we have more or less freedoms in the United States today than we did 10 years ago, than we did 20 years ago? I think you can answer that fairly succinctly by saying we have less. And this is a hill to die on. Free speech is definitely a hill to die on. So to catch you up on the news, what happened with PayPal, they said, hey, as I told you before, hey, we're going to charge people for misinformation, people who have accounts on PayPal. And it was Elon Musk and a couple other former founders of PayPal that came out of the woodwork and say, this is not okay. And so this story ends well because PayPal came out, and I'm reading from a story here from Forbes. It says, PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted into our policy. Our team is working to correct the policy pages. We're sorry for the confusion that this has caused. But this was after Peter Thiel and Elon Musk came out and said, oh, hold on, what the heck is going on here? And guess what? Money talks. Money talks. And if you're a person that believes in these principles and you're going to take your money away from PayPal, they're going to have a hit in the pocketbook, which eventually changes their policy. But unfortunately, people in power and HR divisions have kind of the yes men, and it seems like the political left has kind of gotten to positions of power at these companies, and they're no longer a payment company. They're a social justice company or what have you, which leaves room for confusion and nebulous terms like misinformation. We're going to fine you for misinformation. Okay, define what you mean by misinformation. Something that's not true? Well, how do you know it's true? And that's even a bigger question, which is why ultimately you come down to the fact that you have to be a free speech absolutist. Because if you keep what I do agree with is truth is outside of you and I. If I think something's true, it doesn't make it true. If you think something's true, it doesn't make it true. So you and I can disagree. We can both be wrong. But if we disagree, we can't both be right. Right? And so one of us is right and the other one's wrong, or both of us are wrong. But we both can't be right if we disagree. And so you have these people who are coming from positions of authority who say, I'm always right and you're wrong. And it's very dangerous because we're working hand in glove with the government. Most of you agree with this kind of stuff, but I think this ended well because you're having people in power, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, former founders of PayPal, come out of the woodwork and speak out against this. And that brings up a good point. I think channels like mine, Economic Ninja, Financial Prepper, there's a ton of channels out there like this. The powers that be don't like the truth necessarily coming out. I don't think everyone at YouTube necessarily wants to censor people talking about the World Economic Forum or how bad a CBDC is. I don't think everyone at YouTube, but I think the powers that be work hand in glove with the government. And so if the government's for something, I think YouTube's going to be for it. And so if people on YouTube are saying, hey, pump the brakes, this is a really, really bad thing for freedom and prosperity and for free speech like I'm talking about today, if the government wants to censor a little bit, they might give YouTube a call. Or they might give PayPal a call. So I think our strength, just like what happened in this story with Elon Musk, yes, he has a massive platform, but our strength is in numbers. Sharing videos like this out, trying to educate your friends and family, and being a voice in this insane world. And like I said before, what has really helped me is defining terms. When you're talking to people that you disagree with or you're reading a story, oftentimes they use these terms that can mean 1,000 different things. And people are misinterpreting it. And so it sounds good. And people say, I don't necessarily want misinformation. Regardless of your thoughts on the matter, I think misinformation is bad, especially when it comes to things like disease or the woohoo bat flu. But I think we all know that there was misinformation spread by the authority figures. And this is how it always works. Okay, so like I said, A leads to B leads to C, and at the end of the alphabet is Z, the thing we're all scared of. So probably it was a good idea not to start walking down that road, in my humble opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below about what we discussed today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.